Good afternoon. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the July 22nd, 2021 regular Code Enforcement Board meeting of Seminole County. We are going to start here in just a moment. I would like to propose a change in order to the agenda so that we can cover you folks that are so kind to come in here first, and then we'll go through the cases that remain after that. And I would propose, if I can get a motion and a second, to start with case number 2123 CEB, which can be found on page 4, followed by 2128 CEB on page 6, followed by 2132 CEB on page 8, 2133 CEB on page 8, 2102 CEB on page 9, and 19-177 CEB on page 10. I have a motion to revise the order in that order.
Motion to revise the order of agenda.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Patton, second by Ms. Hames. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that carries. So we're going to start in the order that I said. And what's going to happen here today, folks, for those who have not been here before, we're going to call your case up. If you hear your case and you're here to testify on behalf, you'll come and sit at that desk there. The code enforcement officer will present their case. After they present it, you'll have the opportunity to speak to that. If you have more than one case, we will hear those, how I tell you when you come up here. They'll be in a certain order. And these folks right here are the panel that will be deciding your case today. So you'll be speaking to them, not the code enforcement officer. So that being said, we'll start with case number 2123 CEB, which is on page 4, starts on page 4. It actually consists of a total of 3 cases. Cases for Gary A. Myers. I'm sorry, I passed right over the Pledge of Allegiance and the swearing in of witnesses. So please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. My apologies. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing if you're going to testify today in any form or fashion. Be sworn in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
And we're going to go ahead and have the roll call. Madam Chair, if you could conduct that.
Rob Wolframe.
Here.
Mike Bass.
Here.
Dudley Bates.
Here.
Ellen Patton. Here. Don Peterson. Dennis Warren.
Here.
Jane Haynes.
Here.
Yvette Brown. Here.
Thank you. We're going to try this again. Case number 2123 CEB, Guy A. Myers at 424 East Hillcrest Street, Altamont Springs, 32701. If you're here for that case,
He left.
you left.
Yes.
Okay. Well, should we knock that out? I called it in that order, revise the agenda.
No, it's all right. Just move on to the next
Okay.
respondent, and we'll come back.
Okay, we'll move to case number 21-28. This is on page 6, folks. And that particular case is Christy Brosier, 2302 Castlewood Road, Maitland, Florida, 32751. If I could have you, sir, step up to that chair there. Yes, thank you. And when you get there, if you just announce your name and your relationship to the case.
Christy Brosier,
Thank you.
owner of the property.
Thank you so much. Officer Hurd.
Good afternoon, Dorothy Hurd, South Region Code Enforcement Officer for the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. For the record, I'm submitting a copy of this presentation to the clerk as Exhibit 1. This is case number
You can sit down, sir.
2128 CEB for Christy Brosier. The address is 2302 Castlewood in Maitland, Florida.
Mr. Brosier, you can sit down. You can have a seat. Thank you.
The violation charge is swimming pools and hot tubs not capable of holding water more than 24 inches in depth, not completely surrounded by a fence or a barrier, where the gates and doors and barriers are not self-closing, self-latching. Initial inspection on this property was January of 2021. Notices to the respondents, March 1st. Compliance date 3/9. Several follow-up inspections, my last one being yesterday in the pool, still not secured according to code. This image was taken by myself on January 7th, 2021. He did have, at one point, the blocks that you see there, he had someone come up and put up what was supposed to be a wall, but in the next few days, it just fell down like that. So it's still not secured according to code. This image was taken on March 11, 2021. This image on April 6th. These images on June 28th. This image was taken on July 21st, and you can see that it's still not secured according to code. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in this case, Christy Brosier is the owner of record at 2302 Castlewood Road, located in Seminole County, in possession or control of the property and in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4, as defined in 95.3G. I'm asking the board to order respondent to correct the violation on or before midnight of August 6, 2021 by securing the swimming pool according to code. If the respondent does not comply with the order, a fine of $250 be imposed for each day the violation continues or is repeated after compliance. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions for Officer Hurd? Seeing none, Mr. Brasier, this is your opportunity to speak to behalf of what was just presented here.
Okay. I went to a construction company. They will repair and replace this section, but it cost $8,100, and I don't have it. I've been to 3 banks, 5 loan companies online, and I was about to get one, but he refused to. He declined. So I'm still looking.
Yeah. Mr. Bates?
What type of enclosure were you getting a bid on, sir? How were you seeking to enclose it?
I'm going to rebuild the wall, the block wall that was around it.
Okay, the concrete block
Yes.
structure? Okay. Is that the only kind? I know that's probably what you want, but is that the only kind that's acceptable instead of a chain link fence or wooden fence or something?
Well, I had a chain link fence closing the wall, but some people tore it down. So I'm trying to do the best way with the block wall.
May I address that? There's another part of the wall that's blocked. It has to be replaced with like material. So there's part of the wall that's concrete, and then you get to his section that's fallen down. So it has to be like material.
Understood. Thank you.
Mr. Brasier, we're here today to determine a date that this will get done, and after that date, the fines are going to accrue at $250 a day. If you do the short math, it's $1,000 every 4 days.
Well,
So-
I tried to get a loan so I can actually pay the construction company to come in there and do it, but I have to get the loan first.
And what are your plans on this, starting when we leave here, to get this done?
I'm going to try some more loan companies. That's all I can do.
How much time, and I was in something, did he give you a time, Mr. Bates? I think you asked that question. How much time he needs? Did you say how much time you need to get this done?
No, we
Your
didn't
answer.
address that.
He didn't.
Okay. How much time do you think you'll need to accomplish this if we were to consider it?
Once I get the loan, it'll be going up that week. Going to be worked on.
I'm a little worried this started in January of this year.
Well,
We're into July and nothing's been done. I don't know how much has been done in between now and then for a loan, but this has to be a resolution. We have to put a date on it today, and that's what we're here to do.
I've tried 3 banks, 5 online loan companies, and like 1 refinance company. All declined.
So, Hurt, is there any other option other than putting up this particular wall? Any out-of-the-box options? Can you fill it in, or a fence?
Well,
maybe?
if he wants to get rid of his pool, but it's still, I don't think he wants to do that. And that's on a sidewalk where children walk to English Estates. I believe that's the name of the school. So something definitely needs to be,
Yeah, stockade fence would put them in compliance, right?
it has to be like material.
I like it, okay.
What if he tore down the whatever amount of fencing that's there now and replaced it with stockade fence all the way around, or some kind of like material?
Pictures.
But it would,
If he wanted to tear down that section that's intact
well,
right now.
it's not just his house. He's got houses to the right. I think it's if you're facing it to the right, that's got part of that wall too. So
Oh,
Or if he were to put a stockade fence running down his property line, wherever that may be, to surround it.
just take,
I'm just not sure if that's even an option, but
I'll
it's
have to
a
check
cheaper
with the
way.
county to see if they would allow that, because it's not like material. The rest of the wall is concrete block. So I can check to see if,
If that's what it is, if that
But if
block
it's-
wall is on his property line, I just thought
It is.
maybe, okay.
I've already bought this block to replace it. All I'm looking for is trying to find a company that'll loan me the money so I can give it to the construction company and they'll fix it.
Okay,
Hi, for the record, Mary Moskowitz, Planning Manager. So in the interpretation of the code, so the fence material has to be the same on the, along this parallel to each other, along the property line. But if he had block on one side and then on the other adjacent property line had a different type of material, that would be permitted. So he could do concrete, and then wood on the other property line. So if that is within his budget.
possible option. Not sure what that would cost. I think it'd be less than the other, but still, it costs money to do that, but it'd be a cheaper way. Again, we're not here to tell you how to do it. We're just have to figure a date to give you. And right now, the proposed date is August 6th. What do you feel about that date? If you need more time, how much more time than that? That's all we're here to
A
try to
little
figure.
bit more time would be good.
Have there been, also heard complaints on what's the staff's position as far as extending time? I know it's a pool violation.
there have been other complaints. It's maybe like 2 or 3, and mostly during when the school season, because the children do walk through there. I haven't had it in a while, but yes, there's been at least 2 or 3.
Understand school starts August 10th.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, Mr. Brodsky, do you have a mortgage on the property?
No,
So you own it free and clear?
yeah,
You ought to be able to get a loan.
not with my credit score.
Okay, thank you.
But also, Mr. Bass.
I make a motion that we accept staff's recommendation and extend the date of compliance to August 26th, which is our next meeting.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to extend the compliance date to August 26. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Mr. Wolframe. Okay, so the motion is to accept this recommendation as presented, however, extending the compliance date to August 26. After that point, fines of $250 a day would kick in. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That's what we've done. The date has been extended, so do what you can to get it done. I think Ms. Hames had a good observation. I think if you go to a few more places and you share with them that you own your house outright, I think you can find success. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
Next case is going to be case number 21-32, which is on page 8. And this is a case of Rebecca A. Carmen, Homewood Drive, Sanford, Florida, 32773. Officer Bavaro will be presenting. If you are here for this particular case, Rebecca Carmen on Homewood Drive. I believe. No. Okay. Okay. So, sir, have a seat, state your name for the record.
My name is Marty Polakowski. I live at 267 Lakeview Drive. I own the residence at 209 Homewood. My tenant was my daughter.
Okay, we'll start. That's what I need right now, and you've been sworn in?
Yes.
Thank you. We're going to hear the case first. Officer Bavaro.
Thank you, Officer Bavaro, Settlement County Sheriff's Office Code Enforcement. For the record, a copy of this PowerPoint presentation is being submitted to the clerk as Exhibit 1. This is case number 2132 CEB, Rebecca A. Carmen. Property is located on a vacant lot on Homewood Drive. The violation charge of Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.3 is defined in 95.4 is defined in 95.3B, which is uncultivated vegetation. Initial inspection was on 10/30 of 2020. Notice was issued on 3/6 of 2021. Compliance date of 3/25. Several re-inspections occurred during that time up to 7/16/2021, where it revealed that the violation had remained. These are some definitions that are going to be pertinent to this case. The definition of land or premises is any real property, whether improved or unimproved, provided, however, that in use in relation or in connection with Section 95.3B shall mean any unimproved real property lying within a radius of 75 feet from any structure. And then, of course, we all know the definition for uncultivated vegetation, mostly used in these scenarios is speaking of the 8-inch grass height, but there is another section of that definition, which I'll read here. So any uncultivated vegetation that is grown in an uncontrolled manner more than 8 inches in height, which is liable to produce an unhealthy or unsanitary condition, or becomes a hoarding place for mosquitoes, vermin, or vector. This image is, this is an aerial image showing that there's a vacant lot to the left and the right of this property. There's structures to the left, one to the right. It's 75 foot from one property and another more than 75 feet from the other property. So these are some images that were taken on 10/30/2020 showing that the vacant lot, of course, there's a house on the right. You can see kind of the start of it there, and then there's an additional house on the left side of the property. Another image on 3/26/2021 showing no progress on the property. And then on 4/15/2021, again, the property remains the same. And then 7/16/2021, the property remains the same. Now, I have spoken with Ms. Carmen. She's in disagreement about the interpretation of the code. She explained that this property has never been maintained before, kind of doesn't understand why she was cited or what she had to do to bring the property in compliance. So I did explain to her that she has to remove the section of the code that speaks about the breeding place for vermin. I do have a witness that lives next door that has encountered some issues with vermin and vector coming from the property. So at this time, if you want to tell the board anything regarding any vermin, rats, snakes coming from the property, any funds you had to expel because of it.
Be happy to. Again, my name is Marty Polakowski, and I'll give you a little history. In 2009, I purchased a home for my daughter and son-in-law. And he was getting deployed to Iraqis in the National Guard for a year. So I put them in the house to help them out, and they've been living there ever since, and in July of this year, they purchased the home from me. And that was the original intent, was for them to purchase the home. In regard to the property, the vacant property next door, it's been an issue since I've purchased the home. And the 2 lots that are there, it is composed of 2 lots, was vacant when I purchased the home. The prior homeowner that owned the house at 209 Homewood used to park a travel trailer on it, and he used to mow the lawn on a regular basis. And it was clear, and you could walk through the property without any issues. When he moved out, the property, I didn't maintain it, I didn't mow it, and it's been in disrepair for a number of years. In 2014, I wrote a letter to Ms. Carmen due to the fact that one of the trees, large oak trees on the property, had a disease problem. Part of it had already fallen, hit the neighbor's house, and I wrote her a letter to have the tree removed because it was close enough that it would fall, could potentially fall on the house that my daughter lived in, and she was fearful that it could actually fall on the bedroom where the children stay. She had the tree cut and fell and left in place in 2014. Then when Matthew came along, another tree fell on the property, and if you go back to one of the images, that's the street view, you can, right there, just to the right of the palm tree and above it, you can see the dead branches. That's another large oak tree that fell on the property, and the only reason it's not sitting out in the street is Seminole County came and cleaned up that portion. So you cannot walk through that property. It is full of vegetation. There are rats in it. They do come over. I've had 2 exterminating companies come in. I spent over $3,000 doing that. I also had to replace the ductwork and the air conditioning because the rats ate through the ductwork. There's only one logical place that these rats could come from. There wasn't a problem prior to 2014. 2014 and on, the rats start showing up in the house. And we've been trying to exterminate them ever since. It's a problem. They're coming from this property. All the other properties in the entire neighborhood are well maintained. The grass is kept low. There is no maintenance going on this property. In addition, the neighbors to the right of this property, they're elderly. They probably would have been here. They've experienced the same problem. And Ms. Carmen continues to make excuses as to why she doesn't maintain the property. The other fact is that she called me at one time, asked me if I wanted to buy her property. I said, sure, tell me the price. She wouldn't give me a price. When I made her an offer, she started yelling and screaming at her and telling her that I was trying to steal her property. And I told her at the time the 2 remaining lots that she owns are, at that particular time, did not meet the zoning code and therefore were substandard lots and you could not build on them. I collected over 30 signatures from neighbors in the neighborhood protesting against the variance that was granted so that they could build on the lot. Unfortunately, the board at that time ignored the residents and chose to, in favor of Rebecca Carmen, and granted the variance. And that property still sits. She said that she was doing this so that she could sell the property. I have seen no real estate activity on the property, and I can tell you in this particular neighborhood, Lock Arbor, if there's a vacant lot that goes up for sale, it doesn't last long.
Okay, thank you, sir. Care if you want to go to the board. So based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 2132 CEB, it's determined that the respondent is the owner of record located on the property as according to the Seminole County Property Appraiser's records, in possession and control of the property and in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4, as defined in 95.3B. I'm going to recommend the board issue an order for compliance on August 5th, 2021. In order to do so, she must remove all the uncultivated vegetation which is liable to produce an unhealthy or unsanitary condition or becomes a hoarding place for mosquitoes, vermin, and vector. If she fails to do so, a fine of $50 a day be imposed. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Bass.
Officer Bavario, what's the maximum fine we can attach to this?
$250 in this case.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Officer Bavaro?
I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, sir.
I would like to make a motion on what the officer just commented on, to raise it from $50 to $250 max, and go from there.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Wolframe, seconded by Mr. Bass, to accept staff's recommendation that there is a violation, and given a compliance date of August 5th, however, increasing the fine to $250 per day after that time. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Sir, thank you for coming. Thank the other folks that came here, and you speaking on their behalf. Next case is case number 21-33, same page. There's two cases. It is Christopher Bedoin and Jamie A. Worstell, 305 Miller Road, Sanford, Florida, 32773. If you are here for that case, please step up to the table there and have a seat. And when you get situated, your name for the record, sir?
Christopher Baudouin.
Thank you. Officer Bavaro.
Mr. Chairman, did you want me to go both cases and then come back?
Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to hear both cases, so stay with us. You'll have a chance after he presents the first case to, we'll let you speak to both cases afterwards, but yes, go ahead. Thank you.
Officer Bavaro, Seminole County Sheriff's Office Code Enforcement. For a record, the copy of this PowerPoint presentation is being submitted to the clerk as Exhibit 1. Case 2133 CEB, Christopher Bowden and Jamie A. Worstell. The property is located at 305 Miller Road in Sanford. Violation charges Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4 is defined in 95.3C, which is the remains and rubble of a structure. Initial inspection was done on 3/11 of 2020. Notice was issued on the same day, following a secondary notice on 3/1/2021. Compliance date of 4/10 and 3/18 of 2021. And then several follow-up inspections, the last one being on 7/12/2021, which revealed that the violation remains on the subject property. Images you're about to see accurately depict the violations on the dates in which they were taken. This one on 3/11 of 20. You can see that there's a structure, a house in the back, and then there's a carport type shed in the front, and that's the structure that I believe has been hit by a tree, and which was causing the start of the cause of the decay of the carport. Another image on 3/19/2021. It's very hard to get back and unsafe to get back to the property, so this was about as close as I was going to get. There's a lot of boats, cars, other issues going on there that would prevent me from safely accessing any closer. So this is about, unfortunately, as close as I could get to the property, but it does show that the carport is falling through. And then another image on 7/12 of 2020. Again, another image of the carport falling, and then the notice of posting on the property for this hearing today. We did make several attempts over the course of the last year or so to make contact. Unfortunately, the information that the property appraiser has is 305 Miller, and from my understanding, nobody lives at that property. Neighbors have contacted us saying the owners stop by every once in a while, and then they don't come back for quite a long time. So I believe in this circumstance, it wasn't but a week ago that one of the neighbors had alerted the respondent of the posting in the property. So aside from most recent, I've had zero contact with the owner up until now. So based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 2133 CEB, is determined that the respondent is the owner of record of the property located at 305 Miller Road, in possession and control of the property, and in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4, is defined in 95.3C. We're requesting the board issue an order for compliance on August 5th. In order to comply, they must remove or repair the remains and rubble of a structure. If they fail to do so, a fine of $100 a day be imposed. That concludes my presentation. Now, we do know that the property is, or to my understanding, the property is vacant. Generally, we would send these over to the building division after receiving no compliance and have them abated. In this circumstance, the property is homesteaded, so that prevents the building division from doing so. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions on this particular case before he moves on to the next for Officer Bavario? Okay, move on to the secondary case, please.
Thank you. For the record, Officer Bavario, Seminole County Sheriff's Office Code Enforcement. I will be submitting a copy of this PowerPoint presentation to the clerk as Exhibit 1. This is case 2134 CEB. Christopher Bowden and Jamie A. Worstel. Property is located at 305 Miller Road, and the violation charge is Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4, it's defined in 95.3E, which is abandoned or junked vehicles. Initial inspection was done on 3/11 of 2020. Follow-up inspection on 3/11 of 2020. Compliance date of 4/10/2020. Several re-inspections, including 7/12/2021, revealed that the junked vehicles remain on the property. Images you're about to see accurately depict the violations and dates in which they were taken, and I would also like to note that junked vehicles, after the rewrite, do include boats as well. So this image taken on 3/11 of 2020, that vehicle hasn't moved in several years. Flat tires, inoperable. Next image on 4/7 of 2020, both vehicles in the same condition, boats in the same condition. Again on 8/6 of 20. Again, there's images of the boats and the vehicles, the tire that's flat and sunk into the ground on the box truck. And then when I posted the property for the hearing, again, vehicles have not moved on 7/12 of 2021. So based on the testimony and evidence presented in case 2133 CEB, it's determined that the respondent is the property owner record at 305 Miller Road, in possession and control of the property and in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4, as defined in 95.3E. We're requesting the board issue an order for compliance on August 5th of 2021. In order to do so, they must remove, repair, or place abandoned vehicles within a closed garage or permitted attached carport. A fine of $100 a day be imposed if they fail to comply. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Just for the record, the secondary case, case number 2134 CEB, I don't think I announced that. Mr. Bass, did you have a question?
Yeah, also, no one's living there?
To my understanding, nobody's living there. I couldn't tell you where the front door was.
So as of January 1, they cannot be a homestead.
I'm not privy to what's...
Unless somebody's claiming it illegally, they...
Well, like I said, when we went through the process, at a certain point, we stopped, informed the building division. If it doesn't qualify for whatever reason, then we come here. I was informed that it was still homesteaded, and they were not allowed to move forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Officer Bavario?
I got what was your non-persistence of not going or getting to the door to find out if it was occupied?
As far as getting...
Well, you said nobody was living there. I'm just wondering why you didn't pursue it a little further to find out if there was.
We did a record search in our cafe for phone numbers, anything like that. We could find nothing. But I didn't feel safe walking through that to get to the front door with the junked boats and vehicles there. And like I said, I couldn't tell you if the front door was on the left side of the house, the right side, through the carport. I wasn't going to put my life at risk to get there.
Any other questions, Officer Bavario? Seeing none, Mr. Badon, this is your opportunity to speak to both of these cases. Keep in mind, you have two cases here that the board's considering. One is remains and rubble of a structure. The other one is the abandoned vehicles. So that's the ground you need to cover if you want to. And the floor is yours.
Yes, sir. The reason we're not on the property now is my wife's son passed away in the house. My wife went through a lot of depression, seen a psychiatrist and so forth, and after some years, it's like she can't bear to live in the house. We're currently living in Clearwater and coming back and forth, and so it's not so easy to take care of the property. Anyway, we're living in Clearwater now. I'm 68, she's 67. It's not so easy to make the trip. I have back injuries, which it's not so easy for me to do things on the property anymore. And we were unaware of code enforcement, with the issues starting in 2020. Another part of the county did find us and contact us a year ago. It's about the 6 Mile Creek Bridge at Miller Road. The county's been in contact with us through that, whereas they need a portion of our property, which goes up to the creek and also the bridge. They've been sending us paperwork.
Okay, well, again, as I told the other respondents, we're here to simply determine a compliance date and amount of a fine if it's not in compliance after that. So focus on that. What do you think you need? Both of these cases, the recommendation is August 5th or $100 per day fine for each case. So focus on that. Is that doable? If not, what do you need?
No, sir. I really need a lot more time, honestly. I work in Clearwater, so naturally I have to travel over to see about the property. I'm trying to find help.
And what do you think it's going to take on a calendar for you to get both these things taken care of?
Sir, it'll really take me months, honestly, and that might even be short-sighted.
Ms. Patton, you have some?
Sir, it's,
The reason the carport is down is a palm tree fell and hit it. It's the backside of its roof.
may I ask you a question? If you guys don't intend to come back, why don't you look at just trying to unload it and sell it and let somebody else clean it up and deal with it?
Yes, ma'am. That's something my wife and I are talking about, and it seems seriously that is going to be our goal, is to sell the property.
Yeah, the problem is and we understand what's going on and are sympathetic and very sorry to hear that happen, but you can't just pretend it's not there anymore and leave your neighbors and the community to deal with the mess that's come up with it. And so we want to see that get cleaned up, and if you guys want to move on, we're happy for you, we want you to do that, but we need this, we can't ignore the property anymore.
Yes, ma'am.
So if selling it is an option for you, then I would encourage you to do that rather quickly. But it's not fair to the community just to leave it and let it sit until you can get around to it. And that's where we are.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Ms. Ames.
I was going to ask you to clarify being contacted by the county regarding an easement to the river. I think I understood. Are they offering to buy it from you?
It's a part of my property that is half of Miller Road. Also, on the bridge, where the bridge crosses 6 Mile Creek, is on our property. So they've been in contact with us about needing easement and a piece of the property there. And years ago, I was trying to get St. John's Water Management to help with against bank erosion, and now they're going to finally do it. The creek runs actually through the property.
It seems to me the county would be your first option.
Oh, believe me, I had years of that. The county and St. John's Water Management, they passed it on to each other like a volleyball.
No, I mean to sell it to the county.
Oh,
If they want it,
well, they want a piece of it, not,
they want to condemn it.
No, they just want an easement. To buy an easement.
Right.
not the whole property.
Yeah, right. Still, better than nothing.
Well, we need
I
some,
I think you have some homework.
yes, ma'am.
But your homework's due pretty quickly.
Well, I was not aware of this until just a little over a week ago.
Mr. Chairman?
yes.
I just have one question. Did the residents ever get burglarized? 305 Miller, did it ever get burglarized?
Oh, yes.
When was that?
A couple of years ago was the last time,
2018?
about.
Phone number that you provided the deputies on scene, is that still your current phone number? I don't want to say it out loud on the record. Have you had the same phone number since 2018?
Yes.
Okay. We attempted.
It's a 321 number.
We attempted to contact the number from that report. I just want to correct the record.
Well, which is my wife's phone, and she's not doing well.
Right. On 212, we attempted to contact that phone number that was provided during the burglary in 2018, left a voicemail. Again, on 217, called, left a voicemail once again. And then on 224, 2021, we called and attempted to leave a message for the respondent. I just wanted to clarify that because I know you had a question about it.
Thank you. Which brings us back to what date do you think you need to get this done? Because I don't want to gloss over this. I have a feeling if we don't nail it down, I don't want you to walk out of here thinking that it's all done. It has to, we need a date from you, or you're going to be back here and there's going to be fines accruing. I just want you to, so help us out.
I don't have a date, and
The
to me,
recommendation right now is August 5th, just so you know.
if you could please extend that and give me some months to work on this.
Ask, did you have?
I'd like to make a motion on 2123 CEB to that recommendation. It is August 5th.
Yes, sir.
I would like to put that to September 5th, commencing at that particular time on that 2133 CEB to impose a $100 fine.
Thank you. So we are taking case number 2133 CEB. The motion is to accept staff's recommendation, and how we're extending the date to September 5th. Mr. Bass.
I'd like to offer a amendment, maybe to take that to our meeting date on the 23rd, September 23rd, so give them 2 months. Is that sufficient?
That's fine.
Acceptable. So the motion has been revised to September 23rd. I'm assuming a second by Mr. Bass.
Yes.
Motion on the floor.
Is that for both cases or just one?
Just the first case right now. We'll take this and, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Case number 2134. Same motion, is there?
Same motion.
Same motion by Mr. Wolfram, second by Mr. Bass. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Both those pass unanimously, so the date's been extended to September 23rd. That's the date you have. Work with the officer as you progress, and we'll, hopefully it'll be resolved by then. Thank you for coming in, especially for driving from Clearwater. We appreciate that.
Okay, thank
That
you.
would also give you plenty of time to try to sell.
Yes,
2 months is good. You can sell something in 2 months right now.
be nice.
Try it.
I will.
If you end up coming back on that date, or we have no other, we would hope you'd have some sort of a very positive progress report that, you know, you're in the middle of a sale or whatever. So just FYI, if we see you again, it'd be nice to have a progress report.
Yes, sir.
Brings us to case number on page 9, 2102. It's a continued case. Peter S. and LaShonda A. Adudu, 4621 Du Bois Street, Sanford, Florida, 32771. And sir, if you could have a seat at that table when you get there. And your name for the record, sir?
Yep. Peter Adudu.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Peter Adudu.
You're the owner.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And you've been sworn in, correct? You've been sworn in?
Yeah, I've been sworn in.
Thank you. Officer Bavaro.
Mr. Chair, did you want to start from the beginning on this one? Because it was continued. I know the board was privy to all the information up until 422.
That would be good, at least a brief snapshot.
Not a problem. Yeah. Officer Bavaro, Seminole County Sheriff's Office Code Enforcement. For the record, I'll be submitting a copy of this PowerPoint presentation to the clerk as Exhibit 1. This is case 2102 CEB, Peter Adudu and LaShonda A. Adudu. The property is located at 4621 Du Bois Street in Sanford. The violation charge is Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4, is defined in 95.3C, which is the remains and rubble of a structure. Initial inspection was on 7/17/2019, notice issued on 10/9/2019, compliance date of 11/9/2019, several follow-up inspections, the most recent being 7/16/2021, revealed that the violation remains. Now, we did issue a CDBG application on 11/19/2019, and then at the request of this board on 4/27/2021, we sent another application via mail. Images you see accurately depict the violations on the dates in which they were taken, this one being on 7/17/2019, this one on 10/30/2019, 12/31/2019, 2/11/2020, 4/21/2020, closer one on 2/10/2021, on 4/1/2021, 4/1/2021, that was a posting for the original notice of hearing, on 4/20/2021, and then most recent on 7/16/2021. So based on the testimony and evidence presented in this case, 2102 CEB has determined that the respondent is the owner of record on the property located at 4621 Du Bois Street, in possession and control of the property and in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4 is defined in 95.3C. Requesting the board issue an order for compliance on August 5th, 2021. In order to comply, they must remove or repair the structure, or a fine of $100 a day be imposed. As of 7/16/2021, after our inspection, we also looked into the property appraiser's information sheet to see if any permits were pulled for demolition, re-roof, anything of that nature, and we observed no permits were pulled at that time. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions? Ms. Ames?
Officer Navarro, why did we continue this? Refresh my memory.
I believe Mr. Adudu had some issues going on at home. In addition, I believe there was another individual here that was going to offer assistance to repair the roof. So the board had requested we send another application for some funding so that maybe he could get assistance through the Seminole County, and then also for give him more time to work with that individual.
Okay, but as far as we know, that didn't happen?
From my last inspection, it was not in compliance. We've seen no progress up to date, and we are not aware of any permits that have been pulled.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions for Officer Bavaro? Seeing none, sir, this is your opportunity to speak to this issue.
Here, we've called about three of roof repair. They told us it won't stay. If you put a new roof, the house is going to collapse. And we have come to a decision to tear the house down.
Okay, and when is that supposed to happen?
Now about before 2 months, because they were trying to give us a loan to put another house there, but it's not signed yet.
Anyone have any questions? Mr. Bates?
Did I understand you to say that you're now planning to tear the house down?
Yeah.
Is that right?
We'll take it down.
And then you can have this done within when? How long?
Under 2 months. Everything, so that we can take everything out from the house and then it will be demolished.
So you think you can have it done by October? That would give you August and September to get that done? That's 2 months, so you could have it done by October?
October, by the grace of God.
Officer Bavaro, if he obtains a permit to demo the house, is he then in compliance?
No, sir. Generally, if we're in the notice of violation stage and somebody obtains a permit, we'll extend those notices out before we have to bring them before the board. But again, if I can remind anybody, this has gone on since 7/23 of 2019. I know there's a process to get a demolition permit. I believe that was the intent for this board to continue this case to this hearing. And again, there's no permits that have been pulled. I just rechecked again. There's still no demolition permits been pulled.
So the demo concept was raised at the last meeting on this?
I don't believe the demolition aspect of it. I believe the intention was to re-roof the structure, not demolish it, but that was an option.
So the permit won't bring it into compliance, but the demolition itself will bring it into
Correct.
compliance.
And good point, Officer Bavaro. This started in July of 2019. Something you may want to consider, but again, we're just trying to get compliance. So any
I
other?
want to point out that, July 2019 was a year before we shut down. I'm going to motion to give him one more chance on this and let him tear it down by the October meeting date.
Let's see, that would be October 28th. So your motion be accept, just extending the compliance date October 28th.
Send it to October 28th, but if it's not torn down by October 28th, start imposing fines.
Okay,
Is the motion.
okay. And the fines, the recommended fines were $100 a day. Is that where we're at?
Yes, sir. That's on my motion.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hames, motion by Ms. Patton, second by Ms. Hames. Accepting staff's recommendation, extending the compliance date to August 28th, fines of $100 per day. October 28th, fines of $100 a day after that point. Motion second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, so that passes. You've got to October 28th. This is the last date fines kick in. At that time, $100 per day, and those add up quick. I don't have to tell you so. Thank you.
Do we have to take a permit to destroy?
Yes.
Yes.
I would recommend doing that quickly.
All right,
It shows good faith on,
all right.
You asked for 2 months, I got you 3.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, but don't disappoint me.
All right, thank
All
you.
right.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming in today. Appreciate that. That brings us to our next case, which is on page 10, 19-177. Guadalupe and Marina Nieves, 1325 East Altamont Drive, Altamont Springs, 32701. Ma'am, if you can state your name for the record, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Marina Nieves.
Marina, thank you, and you've been sworn in, correct?
I have.
Thank you so much. Officer Hurd.
This is case 19-177 CEB, Guadalupe and Marina Nieves. This case was originally heard by the Code Enforcement Board on December 5th, 2019, and an order was issued giving the respondents a compliance date of December 26, 2019. An affidavit of noncompliance was filed by my staff after reinspection on January 7th. On May 27, an order was issued continuing this case to this hearing, and I filed an affidavit of compliance by myself in regards to the inspection done on July 19th. Based on the findings of fact, conclusion of law and order, the Code Enforcement Board issued an order on December 5th, 2019. The Code Enforcement Board issued an order reducing the fine. I'm asking the Code Enforcement Board to reduce the fine to the administrative costs totaling $509.99 and require these costs be paid within 30 days, or the fine will revert back to the original amount of $22,000 and will constitute a lien on the property. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions for Officer Hurd? Seeing none, Ms. Nieves, this is your opportunity to speak on this issue.
No, the thing that I had, we cleaned it, and hopefully, I don't mind, please, the fine is good. I don't want the $22,000 one, I want the $500 one. I need to be included. The reason why this has happened is because I was not included. I didn't know that this was going on. This is my parents' property. I need to be put on, or how do I go about to be notified if there's an issue? Because I think the tenant was the initial offender, but the second one was our stuff, the wrought iron gate. I don't know, so how do I go about being
I believe they
informed?
mail the notices to the property owner record on.
Yeah, that would be my dad who didn't give it to me.
You need to check what the property appraisers say.
Okay.
And she could probably maybe let you know where the property appraiser's office is, and you can talk to someone there.
Okay, so yes, that's the only issue that I have, but I cleaned it up.
Okay, so appears there's no opposition to the recommendation, which is $509.99 fine, which is, it's a reduced amount. Otherwise, if not paid by August 21st, 2021, it would revert back to the $22,000. That's staff's recommendation. Is there a motion for that?
Motion to accept it?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Patton, second by Ms. Hames for what I just stated. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So it passes. That's where we're at. You've got till August 21st. The sooner the better, probably, but thank you so much,
Thank you.
especially
Thank
for
you
getting into compliance.
Oh my gosh,
We
yes,
appreciate
sorry
that.
about that.
No problem. Brings us to the next case, and I don't think I announced this when we revised because they stepped in afterwards, but it's on page 2, case 19-33. We will take that next in order.
Number one anyway.
Sure is, number 1. So, then we got one after that. So this case is Tamara Edwards, personal rep for the estate of Gwendolyn Ingram, 125 Leon Street, Altamont Springs, 32701. And ma'am, if you could state for your name, for the record, your name.
Tamara Edwards.
Thank you. And Officer Hurd. Were you sworn in? Ma'am, could you stand up, assuming you weren't sworn in, and hold your right hand for the clerk?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth? Yes. Thank you.
Officer Hurd.
Dorothy Hurd, South Region Code Enforcement Officer for the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. This is case 1933 CEB, Tamara Edwards, per rep for estate of Gwendolyn Ingram. The violation, the repeat violation charge was vegetation in excess of 8 inches in height on the property. My initial inspection was June 12, 2018. Code Board order was February 28th of 2019. Compliance date was April 11, 2019. Repeat violation March 4th, 2021. And my final inspection was the 14th, and the vegetation has been removed from the property. These images were taken by myself on March 4, 2021. And on 4/6/2021, the property had been cut. And this was 7/14/2021. It's still been taken care of. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in this case, it is determined that the respondent, Tamara Edwards, per rep for estate of Gwendolyn Ingram, she's the owner of record of the property, which was 125 Leon Street, located in Seminole County, Florida, in possession or control of the property, and was in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4, as defined in 95.3B. I'm asking the board that, based on the findings and facts and conclusions of law and order issued on February 28, 2019, if the code board would issue an order reducing the fine of $1,650 to the administrative cost of $186.87 to be paid within 30 days, or the fine will revert back to its original amount of $1,650 and constitute a lien on the property. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions also heard? Ms. Edwards, it's your opportunity. If you want to speak to this, you've heard what the recommendation is. Are you clear on that?
I have a video showing that the grass was cut on March 18th.
She's noted that it is in compliance now, and staff's correct, Ms. Osler, staff's recommendation at this point is that the fines be reduced to $186.87. That's the administrative cost. If paid by a certain date, this board still has to vote on it. Or they revert back to the $1,650. So that's sort of where we're at. We recognize that it's taken care of at this moment.
Okay, but what's
you can present that.
Can you break
won't-
down the $186?
Yes, ma'am. That's the recommendations, administrative cost, $186. This board still has to vote on it. You can present whatever you want. If you present that, we're not going to see it, because you can, if you want to make it part of the file, but you won't get it back. We recognize that it's taken care of.
But what I'm asking is the $186 you said administrative costs. What does that include?
That includes,
That would include my inspections. I'm sorry. That would include my inspections, the photos that I took, the notice that I sent, the affidavit of compliance when I prepared the PowerPoint, the affidavit of costs, and for the CEB hearing, it came to $131.32 for my costs, and then the remaining costs would be for the county.
for reopening the case as a repeat violation, preparing all the paperwork, all the mailing, everything goes out certified mail, so that's at $5.80, or $6.80. That was one letter that went out. So the clerk's costs were $55.55.
And I'm sorry, for the record, I'm submitting a copy of this presentation to the clerk.
I'll just tell you from observation over my time here, that's generous. This is a repeat violation. Repeat violations can be fined as much as $500 a day. We did not even used to consider reduction, so just, and you can still make your case if you feel that's too much, or feel free to, but I just want to share that with you.
I mean, because if it's being cut, then I don't understand.
Okay. Well, go ahead, the floor is yours, so if you want to,
I mean, you know better than I do, because it's not my job, so I'm just asking, I was just asking the breakdown of it.
Okay, so you got the breakdown. So do you have any objections to the $186.87 to be paid within 30 days?
Does that include any days of it not being cut?
It's administrative. It's because the case has been pending since 2019. So it's all the work that they have done to work up the case. It no longer has to do with compliance. The original.
Okay. Well, I guess, yeah, then, I mean, if I have no fight in that, then I have no choice.
Well, you can ask for something if you want it to be asked, but understand what I'm hearing the chairman say is that this is a generous reduction.
But how is it generous when how did it accumulate in the first place?
It's generous because your option is this. You either get fined for $186.87 or $1,650. So pick door one or pick door two.
Door one.
Okay, so that's pretty simple. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So we have a motion, again, recommendation $186.87, or door one, or it would, to be paid by, I'm sorry, what was the date? Also heard.
30 days. With
30 days.
30 days.
Okay, 30 days, which I'll give you that date in just a moment here. That would be by August 21st, 2021, or it reverts back to the $1,650. Is there a motion to that effect?
I make a motion, we accept staff's recommendation.
Motion by Ms. Hames.
Second.
Second by Ms. Patton to accept staff's recommendation as presented, as we read on the board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's what we've done. You've got 30 days, pay it within that 30 days or it reverts back. And just another reminder, if it gets out of compliance again, fines start immediately because it's a repeat case, so just keep that in the back of your mind.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for coming. Okay, that brings us to On page 13, case number 20-69, CEB. Page, did I say page 13? It's page 13. Are we all good? Anybody need a break? Keep going?
Gentleman needs to be sworn in.
Okay. Sir, if you could step to right there, raise your right hand so you can be sworn in.
I don't have anything.
20-69 and 70, there's two cases here. We're going to hear them together, but this, raise your right hand so you can get sworn in.
Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give us the truth? Yes. Thank you.
And your names for the record, sir?
Travis Lamont Thompson.
Thank you. Officer Hill, looks like we have two cases here. We'll start with 20-69, and it'll be followed by 20-70. So whenever you're ready.
Officer Hill, Seminole County Sheriff's Office Code Enforcement. This is case 2069 CEB. Travis L. Thompson, located at 110 Longleaf Lane in Altamont Springs. The violation is Seminole County Code Chapter 95, Section 95.4 is defined in 95.3F, to the stagnant pool or foul water. This case was originally heard by the Code Board on April 22nd, 2021, and an order was issued giving the respondent a compliance date of May 23rd, 2021. An affidavit of noncompliance was filed by myself after reinspection on May 26, 2021. Based on the findings of fact, conclusions of law and order issued on April 22, 2021, the Code Enforcement Board issued an order imposing a lien in the amount of $15,000 for 60 days of noncompliance from May 21, 2021 through and including July 22, 2021, and the fine shall continue to accrue at $250 per day. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions for Officer Hill?
What was the initial inspection date?
Inspection date. Give me 1 second. I apologize. It was in 2019. I'm sorry, my window closed out. My initial inspection was December 3rd, 2019.
Thank you.
Without presenting the case again, you don't have pictures, would you?
No, I
Okay.
don't. I apologize.
Okay. I'd like to see pictures just to refresh my memory. While we're waiting on that, any questions for Officer Hurd on this particular case? I'm going to allow her to present the second one, and then we'll discuss them, or allow him to speak to them. Other questions? Officer Hurd?
Hill.
Hill.
Officer Hill.
Because
Did
it
that
looks
before.
so similar. Can we put him on the overhead? Can we do it? Sorry.
So these images were taken by Alert, which is our helicopter, on December 12, 2019. Here's, I'll slide it over. This is another one. These photos were taken on January 9th, 2020. Another photo right there. These photos were taken on February 8th, 2020. There's another one. And that's it for that. But we've been out there more times than that. The last inspection was done on May 26, 2021. Alert flew over, and the pool still remained stagnant, and that's when I filed the affidavit of noncompliance.
Thank you for taking your time to do that. And no other questions that I saw. Go ahead under the second case.
The next case is 2070 CEB. The respondent is Travis L. Thompson, located at 110 Longleaf Lane in Altamont Springs. The violation charge is Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4 is defined in 95.3G, which is an unsecured swimming pool. The case was originally heard by the Code Enforcement Board on April 22nd, 2021, and an order was issued giving the respondent a compliance date of May 23rd, 2021. An affidavit of noncompliance was filed by myself after inspection on May 26, 2021, based on the findings of fact, conclusion of law and order, issued on April 22, 2021. The Code Enforcement Board, I'm asking order to impose a lien in the amount of $15,000 for 60 days of noncompliance from May 24, 2021 through and including July 22, 2021, and the fine shall continue to accrue at $250 per day for each day the violation continues.
Thank you. Any questions for Officer Hill on this particular one?
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just curious, why did we incur the cost of the alert helicopter? Can you not access the property on foot?
Correct. I don't have permission to go into the backyard without Mr. Thompson's permission, and I have tried to get views from other properties, and there's a privacy fence, so I can't look over that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, Mr. Thompson, this is your opportunity to speak to both these issues. We have a stagnant water issue, both pool-related, and the other one is the unsecured pool.
Okay. The stagnant water is the unsecured pool as well. So I caught wind of this. I got one letter. I got one letter from you all, and I'm actually doing so much work in the house. I had to, and you can probably pull up the permits. I had to change out the when I purchased this home at the end of December. I bought it at the point that I thought it was all the major components was okay. It didn't turn out that way for me. I had to change the both AC units. I had to do the roof. Now having to do all the plumbing in the house. So it's actually been costing me a lot of money, and which I'm taking care of. When I got wind of the pool being I didn't understand. I didn't know the stagnant water portion of it, but the unsecured that no one should be getting to the pool. So I did put a fence up. If you go back there, even on March, even from the air, you can see that I did put a fence up. The only portion of the pool that is not actually that you can go into is almost like a walkway. So it don't have a flat door. It doesn't have a door, so it's open. And I didn't put that portion up yet because I'm bringing so much debris out the house with the plumbing and everything. So I had to keep that. I had to take that pole out the ground and actually have that section open to get all this stuff moving out. This is my last phase of things inside the house, which is plumbing, which I have scheduled to do on September. What it's called, Repipe, something Repipe company. It's actually coming to repipe my whole house. And that's actually, we're going to get that done in September. That's what I have that scheduled for. Then after they take all, because we have to go out the back way, my office, because I work from home, I don't want all that water debris to come through my office. A couple of months ago, a branch fell on my house where I had to get the roof again redone, and water had leaked in. And I had a problem with that, so I had to get that done. That's the reason why I had to push my plumbing back. But the stagnant pool, I didn't know that water couldn't be in the pool and stuff like this, because to me, getting inside the house, that's all the priority. And then when I found out, I need a fence up here, I put a fence just enough to get stuff to come through. I need a little more time to complete all the work that I'm doing. The houses are gorgeous. I love my place. I love it. And here's, I just need a little more time. I'm actually fixing everything. And I guess I'm not in compliance now because of the stagnant pool, but I can actually have all this taken care of. I just need a little more time. I actually, when I got the little thing pushed up in the ground, the little paper, that's when I knew I didn't even know I had a hearing before. until now. And so when I seen the little paper in the ground, that's when I knew I had a hearing. And I started working overtime just to get in compliance. I'm retired military. I'm started working overtime now to actually get in compliance. Because I do want, and my neighbors don't deserve stagnant pool, stuff like this. But I just need a little more time. I don't think I need to be paying $15,000 and $20,000 for things of that nature, but because it's too easy to knock on my door to go and take a picture. It's too easy. I just don't understand at this point. So I just need a little more time. Give me till your session that you in session in October. I can have pictures, updates, and everything for you. And I actually asked that, can we waive those fees?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Patton.
So, Mr. Thompson, the issue is, and that's awesome that you're doing it, and I hope your house turns out fabulous, but stagnant water that's thick and you can't see through, especially when there's some neighborhood kid where you're not paying attention could go walk through and drown in that pool, and you wouldn't know it until they were dead.
Right.
And you don't want that. Nobody wants that, but that's why that code stuff is there.
Okay.
That's why those fences have to be there. I understand it's inconvenient for moving stuff out, but it's going to be a lot more inconvenient to have a dead neighbor kid in your pool.
Well,
And that's the concern. That's the reason the rule is there, okay? The water not filtering and going through a system invites mosquitoes, invites snakes and everything else, and your neighbors don't want that either. You don't want that. But that's the purpose of requiring, if you're going to have a big thing of water in your backyard, to have it moving and keep it chemically treated so you don't get those kind of things.
That's true.
And I understand that you have a lot of stuff going on, and maybe prioritizing is a little bit different, but these things need to be a priority because they are a danger not only to you and your family, but your neighbors and your community.
That's true.
And that's why we're here.
Okay.
We want to work with you and to help you get it done, but you need to understand that's why you're here, because it's not just about you and your priority. It's about the community and the safety of the community. And like I said, the last thing anybody wants is a dead neighbor kid in your pool. Okay?
That's true.
That's why we're here, and that's why we're asking you to move that up on the priority list.
Okay.
How much time do you need to get that done?
To get that done with, like I said, can I get to September, your October end date, and I can have everything done?
Pools are scary things.
Well, the fence is up. The only portion is the walkway, which
You need
I
to
took
put a gate on it.
I don't have the gate. Yeah, that's the only portion that I don't have right now.
You need to put a gate on it.
Okay.
That's going to stop the neighbor kid from coming into the pool.
I can do that, and and the only reason I didn't pump the pool because the fear is that someone told me that it'll shoot out of the ground. So I was like, oh, wait a minute, what do you mean shoot out of the ground? So because of the water table, so.
Okay, I'm going to jump in here for a minute and appreciate all the work you've done. Certainly the priority you had backwards, but I want to take a moment to stop here because a lot of cases we hear an abbreviated presentation. This is a lien case too, so we didn't go into the whole case, and we hear, requests for certain things. Sometimes we fail to recognize all the efforts that were put in, and I haven't seen it, I don't remember this case, but I've seen it probably numerous times. Could you just share with us some dates and how long this has been going on and notifications that were sent? Because it sounded like this is new and he's going to try to get it done.
Correct.
Please.
So December 3rd, 2019 is when I did my initial inspection. I left a hang tag on the front door for him to contact me. I did not receive a phone call, so the case was opened and notices of violation were sent December 20th, 2019 with a compliance date of January 3rd, 2020. Another inspection was done on January 7th, 2020, and I contacted Alert requesting photos. January 9th, 2020, Alert emailed me the photos that the pool remained stagnant, and a final notice was sent January 16, 2020, with a compliance date of January 30th, 2020. I did not hear from Mr. Give me one second. I did not hear from him until July 2nd, 2020, Mr. Thompson called me, it was the last week of June 2020, and he advised me he was currently working on the inside of the residence and also needed to remove tree branches outside before he could start work on securing the pool and the stagnant pool. I did advise him these were important and needed to be taken care of right away, as this case had been open since last year, and that was June 2020. I did post this property on July 8th for both cases, and at that time, I did not observe, I still saw the same opening for the unsecured pool.
So since 2019, I'm just curious, when the first notice went to you, just briefly tell me what you've done from then until now to take care of these two issues.
To take care of these two issues, only thing that I've done, I have, now I have new pool equipment to pump, but I can't filter that water. So the only thing I did was update the filter system. I got a 2-speed variable HP pump now. Other than that, and I haven't turned it on because I can't turn it on with that water in there. I have to pump it out. So that's the only thing I've done other than the fencing and just having that gap. I just haven't closed that gap. I can close that gap and get a company in to pump that water. I already have the filtration system. I already put in place brand new filtration system. I just haven't turned it on with that particular water.
Okay, so, well, if there's any other questions, where this is a lien request, we can do a couple things. We can accept staff's recommendation as presented. That would impose the lien, fines continue. We could table this, I believe, if we want to give a little more time to reconsider. The fines, or the lien is what it is at this point.
Well, it continues to accrue until it comes into compliance, so you could continue the case if that's what you're...
Right. We could. The fact that it's not in compliance, I don't think this board is going to consider any reduction of anything. So those are...
Can I get a continuance? Is that...
right now, I'm talking to the board, so
okay.
Hang on, we'll see where this goes. So those are sort of our options. Take staff's recommendation as presented, or continuance if there's any belief that we should continue it.
Did I understand that he just became responsible for this property this past December or 2 years ago?
December 19th.
19 is what the presentation was.
Okay.
He said he bought it in 2020, if I heard him right, but...
No, I bought it in December of 2018.
Okay, well, I heard 2020, but I wrote it down. But in any case, he's been the owner, and this has been operational since the end of 19.
Yes, okay.
If I could, I did get an email from a neighbor asking me to escalate this case. I informed them that I took it as far as I could with the code enforcement process, that the next hearing was a lien hearing, because they are tired of the stagnant pool, the unsecured pool. They're scared for the children in the neighborhood, and I told them they would need to contact their commissioner to take this any further, because I've taken it as far as I could.
Thank you.
And can I speak on that? Well, I don't want to. I don't really.
Just about the violations and your request. So I'm closing the discussion with the respondent on this, and unless you have any more questions for him, certainly.
I got a question, just to make it clear. If you make a motion for the $15,000 the way it's imposed right now, he comes in compliance within 2 weeks or 30 days or whatever the case might be. What does that process actually accomplish? Does the lien go away, or
Stops the fines.
Just stops the
There
fines.
is a method, I believe, that he could engage in trying to get the lien considered, is there not?
We have the lien amnesty program currently going on. We don't have a date for that to end, but once he comes into compliance, he can apply to ask for a reduction of both those liens to a maximum amount of $1,250 each.
Thank you.
If I heard that correct, you say reduce it, that amount?
To $1,250.
To
each,
You could make a request and try to have that considered.
Okay,
once you're in compliance.
okay.
Mr. Bass?
I move we accept staff's recommendation on the first case as presented.
I second.
Case number 20-69 CEB, the motion is to accept staff's recommendation as presented. Motion by Mr. Bass, second by Mr. Wolframe. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And second case, case number 20-70 CEB.
I move we accept staff's recommendation on that case as well as presented.
I second.
Motion by Mr. Bass, second by Mr. Wolframe, same exact motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? So that's what we've done. We set staff's recommendation. There are avenues for you. I suggest getting compliance as quickly as possible because the fines are still accruing. And I would put this time ahead of everything else. My suggestions to you. But thank you for coming in.
So, at this point, what is happening?
She can explain.
Okay.
Brings us, I think we may have one more case that came in. No, okay, that brings us, oh yes, the Jones case, I think. I'm sorry, so we lost. Davis. Yeah.
Page 7, number 10, is that right? Page 7, number 10.
Yes, page 7, number 10, case number 21-30 CEB Michael T. Davis, 233 Wood Lake Drive, Maitland, Florida, 32751. Officer Hurd, this will be your case. I believe we're going to have a witness. Is that correct, Officer Hurd? We were going to have a witness?
Yes, one of the neighbors would
Okay,
like to.
whoever, if you could have a seat and give us your name for the record, sir.
Hello, my name is Ron Webster.
Thank you for coming. I know there were other folks here, and thank you for speaking as a sole on their behalf also, a sole individual. Thank you. Officer Hurd, whenever you're ready.
Dorothy Hurd, South Region Code Enforcement Officer for the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. This is case 2130 CEB Michael T. Davis. The property address is 233 Wood Lake Drive. Violation charge, Seminole County Land Development Code, Chapter 30, Section 30.202 and 203, keeping or storage of a dumpster on R1AA property is not a permitted use or use allowed by special exception. For the record, I am submitting a copy of this presentation to the clerk as Exhibit 1. Initial inspection on this property was June 3 of 2019. Notices to the respondent February 11, 2020 and 3/4/2020. Compliance date 2/29/20 and 3/20/20. Initial inspection, follow-up inspections, my last one was yesterday, and the dumpster remained on the property. Over the years, I've had several complaints on the property to the point where I would file it, get ready to file it for code board or file it for code board. He would pull a permit, because with an active permit, he would be allowed to have the dumpster. But what he would do is pull a permit and do no work. And the permit would lapse or become void, and then we'd start the process over again, and then he'd do the same thing, and then I close the case because he happened to permit. So the neighbors, several of them have called and complained about him, the dumpster being on the property. So I talked to the building department, and last I heard he did not have a permit. I talked to Mr. Davis actually this morning, and he advised me that originally when he got this dumpster, it belonged to ABC Dumpster Company. But in the meantime, ABC Dumpster Company sold to another business, let's say Joe Blow. Joe Blow, he's been trying to get Joe Blow to come and get the dumpster off the property. But Joe Blow didn't know or does not know that that's their dumpster. So they won't come and get it. So I talked to him this morning. I told him I asked, I believe, for August the 6th. He wants to get the paperwork from the code board to show to someone, I guess maybe at the new dumpster company, that it needs to be removed, and he said he'll have it removed. But he also did say that he is going to start remodeling or doing some work to the home in the near future. He's going to pull a permit. And I advised him, I said, sir, if you're going to pull a permit, then you need to, it would behoove you to actually get something done. You know, if the plumbing needs an inspection, go ahead and get that done. Don't just pull it, let it sit there just so you can put another dumpster there. And he said he was not. So these pictures were taken by myself on February 13th and March 11, 2019. On July 22nd and February 2nd, 2020. On 7/12, when I posted the property, and this was taken yesterday, and the dumpster has been there. Now, I've been told different time frames. I've been told it's been there 3 years. I've heard 4 years. I've heard 6 years. I started in 19, and that's when I saw it. So how long it's been there prior to that, I can't honestly tell you. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in this case, Michael T. Davis is the owner of record at the property at 233 Woodlake Drive, located in Seminole County, in possession or control of the property and in violation of Seminole County Land Development Code, Chapter 30, Sections 30.202 and 203. I'm asking the board to order the respondent to correct the violation on or before, I believe it's August the 6th. Yes, August the 6th. In order to correct the violation, the property owner should cease keeping or storage of the dumpster on the property unless there's an active permit being signed off with active construction being performed on the property. If the respondent does not comply with the order, a fine of $250 per day would be imposed. And as I said, he is aware of the date. He seemed to be okay with it when I talked to him this morning, but we shall see. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Bass.
I'm sorry, what's the maximum fine we can impose on this type of issue?
It's the first time, $250.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Officer Hurd? None? Okay, we have a witness here today. Sir, this is going to be your opportunity to speak to this. If you'd like to go ahead.
Thank you. My wife and I have lived on Woodlake Drive for 44 years. The 7 people that you see in the gallery are all neighbors. They've lived there, some of them longer than me. Bretton Woods, the development is a very nice neighborhood. It's got 3 Frank Lloyd Wright inspired homes on it. Very eclectic. People have come and built in different times. We've had a great neighborhood where if somebody is in trouble, needs some help, needs help like Mr. Davis apparently needed 3 or 4 years ago, they would have helped. I would have helped. Everybody would have helped, even financially. Well, we know that Mr. Davis is a real estate broker who has access to lots of services that he says he can't have. But at any rate, we know that that this dumpster has been sitting there 3 to 4 years. I think it's about 4 now. And he has been given notice by various people. He doesn't live there. He lives in Spring Valley. It's a place where we walk, we bike, we have kids, we have neighborhood people that we chat with on the road there. It's 2 entrances off of Orono Road, so it's a closed-in 40-house development with a lake in the middle. And it's been a real eyesore for all of us. Some of the people that are in the gallery live right across the street from him. They see it literally many times a day. I see it a lot. So we're really interested in having this board do something to try to give us back our neighborhood and try to make it more attractive. We even have covenants running with the land on this development, and it's back in '57 they were put in, and they're in the county records, where you can't do what he's done. Now that would require us to go out and sue him, which nobody has done, because everybody would love, after talking with him, would love to get this thing cleaned up. He doesn't live in the home. We don't know of any current permits. We've had a lot of discussion. We're trying to get something done. We just hope that that this board does something in a final fashion so we can get that dumpster out and hopefully get this eyesore of a home. We all knew the former owners, and then they had a beautiful house. And it's gone into total disrepair in the last 3 or 4 years. So, again, we're not sure why this agenda was changed and why we came up almost last, even though we had the biggest contingent. But at any rate, we would certainly like our neighborhood back. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yes.
Ms. Hames?
Mr. Webster, is the home currently occupied?
No,
It's vacant?
vacant.
How long has it been that way?
As long, 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years?
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a very long time. We all have different memories, but it's been many years.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, and thank you for your presentation, and apologies, it came last. Your number was just the latter one. My last name's Warren. I was last in elementary school, but I appreciate everybody coming. I just want to say that the rules have changed a little bit where we have one person present, so I think you did a fine job, and I think we get the picture. As far as that goes, any other questions for the officer or Mr. Webster? The recommendation is comply by August 6th, or $250 a day, which is the maximum that can be placed on this.
Make a motion to proceed with the recommendation of $250 a day.
Second.
I just have a question before
Yes, ma'am.
I second that. Can we put a lien on this property?
Eventually.
I know, we're not there yet, are we?
No. Yeah.
Just-
This is one that
Just
we'll remember
asking.
as the dumpster case. Some of them get lost when they come back in front of us, but in any case, when it gets to that point, we'll consider that.
In that
So-
case, I'll second his motion.
Yeah, I think he beat you to it. So we have a
Sorry.
motion by Mr. Wolfram, second by Mr. Bates.
I have a question,
Yes,
but does that recommendation include reoccurring, does it kick in for reoccurrence if once that's in compliance?
Yes, for a repeat?
Right,
Yes, it would.
okay.
But as I said, he said he's going to pull a permit because he's getting ready to start some construction on the inside. So I'll have to check to make sure that there's no permits for it, but
But
yes.
since it's not done, we're considering, and we're going to find it in violation today, the next time it'd be a repeat.
Correct.
So he puts it out there. It's just automatic. He may run.
Question, can he get a permit if you order him to remove it?
We can't,
Yeah. I mean, yes.
We
If he
can't.
gets a permit, he can bring it back
let's
or
go and
leave.
vote on
And that would stop the fines at the point he gets a permit?
this. No.
Go ahead.
With a permit, if he's actively doing something, I tried to explain this to him this morning, because he tends to get one and do nothing. So I told him he needs to be actively doing something, getting it signed off on. And he says he is, but if he's got a permit, I'll check with the county, but I don't think, I mean, he can have it there if he's got a permit. But his last permit, I believe, was voided or whatever, because he's not doing anything.
Right. What brings this into compliance is removal or a permit,
Yes,
okay? That's what brings
Unfortunately.
this into compliance. There's no way to get around that. I mean,
Unless you
that's
call Channel 6. Not a bad idea.
So if we find a violation right now, and what's today?
It's
Thursday?
22nd,
And-
July
and he-
22nd.
And 3 days later, he pulls a permit, he's got 3 days' worth of $250 fines, right?
No, because this is the first time it's coming before you, so this is a first-time case. So what you're doing is, Chapter 162 requires that you provide a reasonable time to come into compliance. Your job is simply to find a violation or not find a violation and provide a reasonable time for compliance if you find a violation. So you find him in violation, then your decision is, how much time do we give him to come into compliance? Arguably, 7 days is the minimum amount of time that's considered reasonable time to come into compliance. So he has that time period to either remove it or obtain a permit.
And
If he doesn't,
I can speak to Mary, for the record, Mary Moskowitz, planning manager. So for the building permit, he has to obtain the permit. So he can't just come here, submit paperwork, and pay. He actually has to have plans, they have to go through the review cycle, and then he would be issued a building permit. At that time, he could put the dumpster out. And then he has 6 months to call in an inspection. And if he doesn't call in the inspection within 6 months, then it would be voided out. So just because, if he comes in tomorrow and says, I got a building permit, and he still has to go through the process of getting the permit approved as well, and that can take up to 2 weeks to.
We understand he might have an electrical permit already, that, of course, he hasn't acted on that either, but.
But if it hasn't been issued, then he would not be allowed to have the dumpster. Yeah. So it would have to be issued.
is there stuff in it today? Are there items in the dumpster today?
It's full.
It's full of stuff.
It's fuller than that. It's overflowing.
To the last
And
picture,
it's never been
yeah.
dumped in all those years. It's never been dumped. Look at the date. 7/24. It's never been dumped.
It's just constant, yeah. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's as much as you can do right now. If you provide him a shorter window period and he is unable to obtain the permit or remove it, then the fine starts accruing quicker. And then at that point, you can always come back, the county can come back and ask for a lien request. And that's when you get that lien that you asked for. And then after 3 months, the county can come in and try to request it.
And how long, I heard the building permit, is it a 6-month period for a dumpster also? How long do these people have to wait? Well, this guy.
Yeah, so once a building permit has been issued,
And it would be a
have-
building permit for this dumpster, is that?
Well,
Not for the
it's a building permit, a building permit for construction.
Oh,
So- so
okay, and
what
that qualifies the dumpster.
That allows you to have a dumpster.
Okay.
So once that has been issued, you have 6 months to call in an inspection. And if you don't call in an inspection within that 6-month period, then your permit is voided out.
Can you go back and reapply? Because that's what he's going to do.
So he'd have to pay the fees, and it would have to be reissued, so, yeah.
That's what he does.
Yeah, so.
Officer Herb, what's the recommendation on having this done by? What date are you proposing?
August 6th.
Okay, and we can do it as short as 7 days? So that would make it, what's the date, 22nd, 29th? Is that fair? I would offer an amendment to the motion that we have this effective as of July the 29th.
Right. Second.
Is that acceptable to the maker of the motion? And the second, okay.
Yeah, you say
Yeah,
yes
the
on the
vote.
record.
Yes.
You have to
Yes.
vote that amendment there. And then we vote on the motion.
Can I ask the officer one real quick question? When you contacted that individual, did he indicate to you, I think I heard you right, that he called the owners of the particular debris carrier, or whatever you want to call it, the dumpster?
Yeah, no, he told me.
And he
that-
don't know who owns what?
Right, the new company, he says, does not know that that's, when they bought the company, they bought that dumpster too. They don't realize it's their dumpster.
But he called them to go ahead and remove it, and they said they will not remove it
Right.
because they don't know it's there.
Correct, that's what he
So
told
we're
me.
right back in the same situation if we do
It's
this. or-
not, that doesn't matter to us. That's his problem. That's not our problem. His problem is getting the stupid thing off the, how he does that, that's his problem.
Right.
That is not our issue.
I'm pretty sure you could pay somebody to come and remove
Sure
the
you could.
dumpster.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
car carrier,
That's a cop-out.
Absolutely.
a car carrier,
Absolutely.
drag it right up.
Yeah, I'm sure there are companies out there that would love a free dumpster. That's not a good excuse.
Okay, so we had a motion by Mr. Bass to accept this recommendation with changing the compliance date to July 29th, where fines kick in at $250 a day.
To just amend the original motion, yeah, that one issue.
Yeah, original motion, just amending the compliance date to July 29th, second by Ms. Hames, if I'm not.
Well, the maker of the motion and the second had to
Right.
accept it.
Who made the motion?
Mr. Wolfram?
Mr. Wolfram. Second by Ms. Hames. And you all are good with the July 29th
Yes, sir.
Then we have to
revision?
vote on that amendment.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? So that's what we've done, as much as we
Now
can
you got to
do.
vote on the motion.
Vote on, excuse me. The
You
vote-
voted on the amendment, now you got to vote on the motion.
Oh, that's what I thought I was doing, okay. That was for the amendment. Okay, voting on the motion, extending the date, excuse me, revising the date to July 29th as a compliance date. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Good luck. Thank you for taking your time to come down here, all of you. Really appreciate that.
Officer Hearn?
Yes.
Can you remind this gentleman, even if he gets this thing off and he puts that thing back on there, the minute it's out of compliance, he's going back at $25 a day? $250 a day?
Yes, sir, I'll call him.
And tell him you're going to stay on his little rear end like, you know
No,
what?
don't tell him that. Can we take a 5-minute break?
Okay, brings us back to the start. Do we need to take a break, move forward, whatever the pleasure of the board?
I'd like a 5-minute break.
Yes,
Okay,
that's fine.
we'll take a 5-minute break.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to get back in order, and our next case is case number 2018 CEB Chester A. Vanderply III, Leonard Street, Altamont Springs, 32701. Officer Hurd, your case.
Dorothy Hurd, South Region Code Enforcement Officer for the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. This is case 2018 CEB Chester A. Vanderpyle III, and the property address is in Leonard Street in Seminole County. The violation charged is vegetation in excess of 8 inches in height. My initial inspection on this property was July 22nd, 2019. Code Board order was 1/23/20. Compliance date 1/27/20. Repeat violation 2/4/21. And my last inspection was on the 12th, and some of the vegetation remained on the property. This is from when they originally cut the property. These images were taken by myself on March 4th, 2021, July 12th, 2021, where I posted, and you can see I have a couple of pictures. You'll be able to see that they did not cut all of the high grass along the street, and on either side of the sidewalk. The grass is over 8 inches. These were taken on July 12th, 2021. And this is the code where it refers to that portion of the property. It's the duty of each owner of any real property, lot, tract, or parcel of land to reasonably regulate and effectively control the growth and accumulation of matter. So basically, it's saying, even though part of that was the right-of-way, that property owner is still responsible for maintaining and making sure that it gets cut. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in this case, Chester A. Vanderpyle III is the owner of record at Leonard Street in Seminole County in possession or control of the property in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4, as defined in 95.3B. I'm asking the board to order that, based on the findings of facts, conclusion of law and order issued on January 23rd, impose a lien in the amount of $7,100 for 142 days of noncompliance, and the fine shall continue to run at $50 per day for each day the violation continues or is repeated after July 22nd, 2021. And for the record, I'm submitting a copy of this presentation to the clerk as Exhibit 1. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions for Officer Hurd? Seeing none, is there a motion?
I make a motion to go with the recommendation of a $7,100 lien.
Motion by Mr. Wolfram to accept staff's recommendation as presented.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bass. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. On page 4, case number 21-23 CEB, Guy A. Myers, 424 East Hillcrest Street, Altamont Springs, Florida, 32701. And there are 2 companion cases, if you just want to go through each one.
Dorothy Hurd, South Region Code Enforcement Officer for the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. For the record, I'm submitting a copy of presentation 2123 CEB to the clerk as Exhibit 1. This property address is 424 East Hillcrest Street in Altamont Springs, Florida. Violation charged is water not flowing or moving or dirty and grossly offensive, basically in the swimming pool. Initial inspection on this property was 10/29/20. Notice to respondent 310, compliance date 3/26. And I've had several re-inspections. The last one was done by alert on 7/20. The water has been removed from the pool, but I don't have access to the back of his property to make sure that the pump is running. So this image was taken by alert on 10/29/20. And this was on July 20th, 2021. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in this case, Guy A. Myers is the owner at the property 424 East Hillcrest in Seminole County, in possession or control of the property, and in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4, is defined in 95.3F. I'm asking the board to order the respondent to correct the violation before midnight of August 6th to make sure that the water is flowing and moving and maintain the water in the pool. or a fine of $250 per day be imposed. I did speak, Mr. Myers was here earlier. I did speak to him. I'm going to meet with him on Monday morning at 5:30 or 6 o'clock so that he can show me that the pump is running and that the other 2 violations have been taken care of. So this August 6th date is okay with him because he believes he's taken care of everything. Thank you. That concludes my presentation on that one.
Thank you. You say you're meeting at 5:30 in the morning? Is that?
Yes, 5:30 or 6, yes.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Make sure I heard it.
You'll have to take a flashlight.
Okay, so
next case is 2124 CEB, same
Guy A.
respondent.
Myers. For the record, I'm submitting a copy of this presentation to the clerk as Exhibit 1. This is case 2124 CEB, Guy A. Myers. The property address is 424 East Hillcrest Street in Altamont Springs, Florida. The violation charge is going to be vegetation in excess of 8 inches in height. Initial inspection on this property was May 18, 2020. Notice to respondent 310, compliance 326. Follow-up inspections, the last one was yesterday, and most of the vegetation was gone, but there remained a little bit on the per the property or in the backyard. This image was taken by myself on May 18, 2020, 10/28/2020, where I posted the property on July 7. This is July 7. And on 7/12/2021, there's a little bit of vegetation that still remained on the property. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in this case, Guy Myers is the owner of record at 424 East Hillcrest Street in Seminole County, in possession or control of the property and in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 95. Section 95.4 is defined in 95.3B. I'm asking the Board of Order respondent to correct the violation before midnight of August 6, 2021 by removing all unmaintained vegetation in excess of 8 inches in height, or a fine of $50 per day be imposed. Thank you. That concludes my presentation on that one.
Thank you. And the next case, 21-25 CEB.
Dorothy Hurd, South Region Code Enforcement Officer for the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. For the record, I'm submitting a copy of this presentation to the clerk as Exhibit 1. This is case 2125 CEB, Guy A. Myers at 424 East Hillcrest Street in Seminole County, violation charge. Useless material no longer fit to be used on the property. Initial inspection, May 18, 2020. Notice to the respondent on April 6, compliance date 4/23. Last inspection was July 21st, and there remained a little bit of stuff on the trailer on the property. This photo was taken by myself on May 18, 2020, January 6, 2021, 7/12/2021, and where I went back out to post the property. This was taken on 7/21. There's still some rubbish back on that blue trailer in the back there. Based on the testimony evidence presented in this case, Guy Myers is the owner of the property at 424 East Hillcrest Street in Seminole County, in possession or control of the property, and in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4, as defined in 95.3A. I'm asking the Board of Order respondent to correct the violation before midnight of August 6, 2021, by removing all the useless materials on the property, or a fine of $100 per day be imposed. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions for Officer Hurd? Seeing none, we've got 3 cases here. Start with the first one, 21-23 CEB. That's the stagnant pool water. Recommendation is compliance by August 6 or $250 per day fine.
Make a motion to accept the recommendation, $250 a day fine on 2123 CEB.
Motion by Mr. Wolfram to accept staff's recommendation as presented, seconded by
Second.
Ms. Hames. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Case number 21-24 CEB, same respondent, same address. This is the uncultivated vegetation. Recommendation is compliance by August 6 or $50 per day fine. Ms. Patton makes a motion to accept staff's recommendations presented, seconded by Mr. Bates. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Case number 21-25 CEB. useless materials. Motions by compliance by August 6th, or $100 per day fine.
Move staff's recommendation as presented.
Motion by Mr. Bass to accept staff's recommendation as presented. Second by Mr. Wolframe. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Covers those. The next case is on the next page, page 5. Case number 21-25 CEB. We didn't do that one yet, did we? Guy A. Myers, 420, no, I'm sorry, we just did that one. Case number 21-26 CEB, Craig Rothenshine, 514 West Faith Terrace, Maitland, 32751. There's a companion case with this. Officer Hurd, if you want to start with that first one.
Dorothy Hurd, Seminole County Sheriff's Office Code Enforcement Officer. For the record, I'm submitting a copy of 2126 to the Code Enforcement Clerk as Exhibit 1. This is case number 2126 CEB, Craig Rothenshine, 514 West Faith Terrace. The violation charged is going to be basically a stagnant pool, water not flowing or moving or dirty or grossly offensive and obstructed with foreign matter. Initial inspection on this property was 10/29/20. Notice to the respondent 3/10/21. Compliance date 3/26. And my last inspection alert did on 7/20/2021. And there remained a little bit of water in the pool. This photo was taken by alert, and this one was taken on the 20th, where most of the water had been drained out, but there's still some dirty water there. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in this case, Craig Rothenshine is the property owner at 514 West Faith Terrace in Seminole County, in possession or control of the property and in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4, as defined in 95.3F. I'm asking the board to ask the property owner to correct the violation on or before midnight of August 6th by removing and or treating the remaining stagnant water in the pool. If not, a fine of $250 per day be imposed. Now, I did talk to, finally, Mr. Rothenshine called me on the 19th. I talked to him on the 20th. He's in Boca. He says he's trying to sell the property, but he had somebody come out and cut the front, but they didn't cut the back. And actually, it's really hard to even get back there, so it's so bad. But I told him the date. He believes he'll have somebody to come out and do the remaining water in the pool. He said he had gave somebody this credit card. They called him 3 weeks later and said, most of us got COVID. We can't get out there. So he's just looking for somebody to drain the rest of the water in the pool, and then I'll talk about the grass will. But he is aware of the date, and he should be okay with that. The next case.
Case number 21-27 CEB.
Okay. Dorothy Hurd, South Reading Code Enforcement Officer for the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. This is case 2127 CEB, Craig Rothenshine at 514 West Faith Terrace. For the record, I'm submitting a copy of this presentation to the clerk as Exhibit 1. This one is the violation charge, uncultivated vegetation in excess of 8 inches in height. Initial inspection on this property for this was 7/16/20. Notice to respondent 3/10/21. Compliance date 3/26. Last inspection was actually yesterday by myself, and the property remains overgrown. These photos were taken on 8/31/20. You're just going to see some pictures taken during this case. May 5th, 2021, June 28th, 2021, 7/21. Some of the front mostly was cut. Some of the grass is getting high, but where that arrow is in the back there, looking through, if you're standing and facing the house and you can look through the glass, you can see where some of the grass in the back has not been cut. And he did say the person who cut the front didn't cut the back. So he's aware that he needs to make sure that that's taken care of. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in this case, Craig Roshenshine is the owner of the property at 514 West Face Terrace in Seminole County, in possession or control of the property in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4, as defined in 95.3B. I'm asking the board to order respondents to correct the violation on or before midnight of August 6, 2021, by removing any and all uncultivated vegetation in excess of 8 inches in height, or a fine of $50 per day be imposed. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions for Officer Hurd? We've got two cases here. The first one's stagnant pool water compliance date recommended of August 6th, over $250 per day. Is there a motion?
Move we accept staff's recommendation as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bass, second by Mr. Bates to accept staff's recommendation as presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Second case, and that case was 21-26. Second case, 21-27 CEB, uncultivated vegetation. I didn't write down, what's the recommendation, Officer Hurd?
It was 8.6, I believe, and $50 per day.
August 6th, or $50 per day is staff's recommendation.
Move we accept Officer Hurd's recommendation as presented.
Second.
Mr. Bass makes a motion to accept staff's recommendation as presented. Mr. Bates seconds that. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Brings us to a new case on page 7, case number 21-29 CEB, Michael C. Schnur, 123 Candlewick Road, Altamont Springs, Florida, 32714. Officer Hurd, you're doing all the work here today. Go ahead.
Dorothy Hurd, South Region Code Enforcement Officer for the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. This is case 2129, Michael C. Schooner at 123 Candlewick Road. For the record, I'm submitting a copy of the presentation to the clerk as Exhibit 1. This property address is 123 Candlewick. Violation charge is going to be any vehicle including but not limited to the parts thereof which are unusable as a form of transportation. My initial inspection on this property was July 7th of 2020. Notice to the respondent 3/4/21, compliance date 3/19. My last inspection was yesterday morning, and the vehicles remained on the property. I've spoken to Mr. Schnur in regards to the vehicles. He's saying that he's sick and he doesn't have the money to get rid of them. He was supposed to put them for sale on Craigslist or something, but if he did, they didn't sell, so the vehicles are still there, and I haven't heard from him since. These photos were taken by myself on July 7, 2020. 2/25/21, 3/24/21, 7/7/21. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in this case, Michael Schnur is the owner of the property at 123 Candlewick Road in Seminole County, in possession or control of the property and in violation of Seminole County Code, Chapter 95, Section 95.4 is defined in 95.3E. I'm asking the board to order respondents to correct the violation before midnight of August 6, 2021, by repairing or removing any vehicle which is unusable as a form of transportation or placed within a legally permitted carport or garage. If the respondent does not comply, a fine of $100 per day be imposed. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. If there's no questions, the recommendation is compliance by August 6th, or $100 per day fine for the vehicles.
How many vehicles are on there?
2.
Say 200, 100 for each car.
Motion on the floor for accept staff's recommendation, compliance date August 6th, or a fine of $200 per day. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Wolframe. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next case is on page 11. Case number 19-126, CEB Andrew S. Faulkner, 4384 Francis Avenue, Sanford, Florida, 32773. Officer Bavaro.
Officer Bavaro, Seminole County Sheriff's Office, Code Enforcement. This case was originally heard before the Code Enforcement Board on August 26, 2019. They issued an order for compliance on September 5, 2019. An affidavit of non-compliance was filed by myself September 6th. So based on the findings of facts and conclusions on law and order issued on August 22, 2019, the Code Enforcement Board issue an order imposing a lien in the amount of $16,800 for 336 days of noncompliance from September 6th through and including March 17, 2020, or excuse me, noncompliance from September 6, 2019 through and including March 17, 2020 and March 3rd, 2021 through and including July, so I think there was a typo in there. So from September 6, 2019 through July 22nd, today's date, 2021, and the fine accruing at $50 a day until the violation is in compliance or repeated after today's date.
Thank you. Any questions for Officer Bavaro? This is a lien request. Property still not in compliance. Recommendation is impose a lien, $16,800, with the fines continuing to accrue at $50 per day.
Motion to accept terms as presented?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Patton, seconded by Ms. Hames to present staff's recommendation as presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next case is on the next page. Case number 19-127, CEB, Robert J. and Betty J. West, Dixie Avenue, Sanford, Florida, 32771. Officer Bavaro.
Officer Bavaro, Seminole County Sheriff's Office Code Enforcement. This case was originally heard by the Code Enforcement Board on August 22nd, 2019. And an order was issued giving a response to compliance date of September 5th, 2019, an affidavit of noncompliance filed by myself after inspection on September 6, 2019. So based on the findings of class conclusions of law and order, issued on August 22nd, 2019, recommend the Code Enforcement Board issue an order imposing a lien in the amount of $33,600 for 365 days of noncompliance from September 6th through and including July 22nd, and the fine continuing to accrue at $100 per day.
Thank you. Any questions for Officer Bavaro?
I have a question. Why has it been sitting here all this time? That from September of 2019, we've had no action on?
Probably answer that better.
Okay.
Back in September, we had a backlog of cases.
Uh-huh.
So it always takes a few months. We have to have a hearing in November. So we have to make sure that they're given a minimum of 30 days notice. Okay, and then in March, we didn't have any hearings. They would have originally come for March. But because COVID shut us down, that's why the recommended fine amount is split from the date of compliance, the day after their compliance, until March 17th of 2020, and then picks up again March 2nd of 2021 through and including July.
We just took 2020 off the books?
Pretty much.
Basically?
Yeah, all fines were being totaled during that period of time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? The staff's recommendation, impose a lien $33,600 with fines still accruing at $100 per day as it is not in compliance yet.
We accept Officer Bavaro's recommendation as presented.
Motion to accept staff's recommendation as presented by Mr. Bass, second by Mr. Bates raised his hand. Mr. Bates. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And I think we have one case left, if I'm not mistaken. It's on page 15. Case number 21-05, CEB Tracy W. Dibble, 258 East Hornbeam Drive, along with 32779, Officer Hill.
Officer Hill, Seminole County Sheriff's Office Code Enforcement. The violation charge was Section 95.3F, which is a stagnant pool. This case was originally heard by the Code Enforcement Board on April 22nd, 2021, and an order was issued giving the respondent a compliance date of May 23rd, 2021. An affidavit of noncompliance was filed by myself after reinspection on May 26, 2021. Based on the findings of fact, conclusions of law and order issued on April 22nd, 2021, I'm asking the Code Enforcement Board to issue an order imposing a lien in the amount of $15,000 for 60 days of noncompliance from May 24th, 2021 through and including July 22nd, 2021, and the fine shall continue to accrue at $250 per day. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Recommendation, impose the lien $15,000, fine still accruing at $250 per day.
We accept Officer Hill's recommendation as presented.
Motion by Mr. Bass, accepting staff's recommendation as presented is the motion. seconded by Mr. Bates. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And, oh, there's another case, wait, no, that complies. Yeah, okay, the rest of them are not being heard today. And works us to the minutes from May 27th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bass, seconded by Mr. Wolframe. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next meeting date is proposed for August 26, 2021. Hopefully that works for everybody. We're going to have some discussion here by county staff in regards to new laws impacting code enforcement.
Good afternoon. For the record, Mary Moskowitz, Planning and Development Manager. So I was asked to just speak to you all about the new House Bill 403, which was signed into law effective in July for Florida Statute 559.955 related to home-based businesses. And is that the one you wanted? Is that what we were talking about? Okay. So basically, it's a preemption, and so right now we have regulations. So Seminole County has on the Land Development Code 2 types of home-based occupations: the home offices and then the home occupations. We have certain regulations pertaining to that on the number of employees and how customers can go to those businesses. This legislation preempts some of those regulations. Now, this isn't a carte blanche. That doesn't mean that everybody can come in and open a home-based business. There's still regulations in place. And so, you still have to get your business tax receipt. You still have to, appeal like a residential building. But we have to look at our own land development codes to make sure that we are consistent with these regulations. So if there is an inconsistency, the state statutes will prevail. An example of that would be the number of employees that can be in a home-based business. Our current regulation says that only the people who reside in the dwelling unit can be in the home-based business, but now we are preempted to say that the people who live in the dwelling unit and up to 2 employees. So that's just an example of something that we have been preempted on. So I don't want people to go around thinking that, everybody can go open a home-based business. There's still regulations in place. We're just evaluating what our current regulations are to see what we need to amend in our own land development code in order to make sure we're consistent with the new state statute. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those right now. I see you're reading the legislation.
Let's go on to the next one, which is the SB 60.
You have to, I apologize, was that the,
No more anonymous complaints.
I'm sorry?
The anonymous complaint.
Oh, the anonymous complaints, yeah. So right now, we cannot take any anonymous complaints, so the complaints have to be made, we have to know who made the complaint and provide their contact information, and they have to have firsthand knowledge. So in the past, we would have people call, and they could offer an anonymous complaint to code enforcement, and code enforcement could act on those complaints. Now that is no longer an option. We do need to have that information, so that could impact how people are letting us know about code enforcement violations. So if you look at the way we collect the complaints now, that notice is on the Sheriff's Office code enforcement complaint. We notice that we no longer accept the anonymous complaints, and that you do have to provide that, your name and contact, your address for us. So.
And then the final thing is the extension request.
Yes, and so in that case, when the emergency order was in effect for state statutes, so the emergency for COVID had ended, and that directly impacted development orders. But we, as the county, also added into that. We extended the tolling for code enforcement and for our zoning regulations. So we've extended all the ability to extend compliance dates for 6 months. That compliance date, you do have to make that request, and you have until September 17th, I think, 19th. We have that date, so you would have to make that request. So for example, if we had a violation that had a compliance date that was given during the tolling, so let's say May 2020, their compliance date was tolled starting on March 17th, because that's when we did the emergency order, and now they have, from when we ended the emergency order, which was on March 2nd, 2021, they would now have to come into compliance given that extra time that they had, so from March to May. And then if they come in and ask, we would also give them an additional 6 months to come into compliance. But that's only for the orders that have been issued by this board. So if a code officer gave a compliance date, that's just a courtesy notice. So we would have to go back and notice those properties.
And those, does that count like cases today? We gave compliance dates?
No, because that was post. We are no longer in the emergency tolling. So those were post March 17th.
Okay.
So those dates are.
So the ones that sort of caught part of that tolling period.
And you noticed that, I think you saw some of the ones you saw today, had that gap in there of the tolling. That was because we were under that emergency order.
I have a question. The anonymous complaint issue, is the person that the complaint is made against, did they know who made the complaint?
So it is public record, but we don't, I'm not giving out that information. It would have to go through a public record request.
All right, so tagging along with that, I'd like to do a workshop. And so, of course, I'd love for Barry to be there. The code officers are always invited. Would you all like to get together next month and possibly bring lunch? We can do it before our hearing. It's always more challenging at the end because we never know when we're going to end. So I would suggest before, and everyone just kind of bag a lunch and bring a drink. We can do it here, if that's comfortable for everyone.
Pool party?
What's that?
Pool party?
A pool party? I don't know.
One of those we saw today, no thanks.
If there's a better room, maybe in the back, sometimes we've had it in different places, wherever the county.
Learning center, we can do whatever makes people comfortable, whatever they're comfortable.
You're talking August
Maybe
23rd.
we had like a table and
26.
sit around.
Sit around the table? Yeah, all right, so we
like
can look
conference
into
room
that.
or something, maybe.
Okay. So between now and then, please look over Chapter 162, just to kind of refresh your recollection. That way, it's not going to be anything new. Nothing has really changed. They didn't have this year's seminar, or did they? Did you all go to this year's seminar?
Virtual.
It was virtual. Oh, that's no fun.
They didn't have this.
They didn't have anything regarding? Okay. Did they hand out materials? Or did you have to download?
You could they could have downloaded some of the class materials, yes.
Will you maybe get it to Pat so I can look over what was given to you all, if you don't mind, and let me look at it to see if there's anything, like cases and stuff that I might need to read. But other than that, it's going to be what we've done in the past.
Are you talking noon, 11:45?
So we start at 1:30. We'd like to be here by 1:15. I think we should shoot for like 11:30. What do you think? Is that okay? 11:30, so that gives us a little bit of time to stretch our legs before we come in here. And we'll let you know the exact location, but plan on 11:30. And, the county attorney, of course, is always welcome if there are things that they would like to discuss with the board. You can look over these. This doesn't really affect anything with regards to us. It's just more informative than anything else. And so we can talk about that a little more if we need to. Anything else between now and then?
August 26th, 11:30.
Okay. August 26th at 11:30. If you can't make it, let me know as well, but I look forward to it. And if you have any questions between now and then, feel free to email me. Okay?
I'll send out an invite to everybody.
Okay. Thank you. I can't adjourn the meeting because I'm not the chairperson.
We are adjourned.
All right.
Got the beginning and forgot the end.